In the annals of history, few empires rival the grandeur and ruthlessness of the 16th century Ottoman realm. A colossal power, stretching across 3 continents, it was a world of rigid hierarchies, breathtaking luxury, and brutal ambition. Here, destiny was often predetermined by birthright, and survival demanded cunning. Yet, within these gilded cages and shadowed corridors, a singular figure emerged, not from noble lineage, but from the depths of captivity, an enigmatic young woman known to history as Hürrem Sultan. Born Roxolana, a slave girl from Ruthenia, her journey began not with a crown, but with chains. This documentary will transport you to a time when an emperor's whim could seal a fate, and a woman's power was largely confined to the domestic sphere. We will peel back the layers of myth and legend to explore how Hürrem, against all odds, would defy every convention. She captivated Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, ascending from concubine to his legal wife, an unprecedented act that sent shockwaves through the empire. More than just a consort, she became a formidable political force, navigating the treacherous waters of the harem, influencing state affairs, and forever altering the fabric of Ottoman governance. Join us as we embark on an extraordinary exploration of Hürrem Sultan's life, her resilience, her intellect, and her unyielding will. From a captive snatched from her homeland to the most influential woman in the most powerful empire of her time, this is the story of how one woman, through sheer force of will, carved her own destiny and redefined what it meant to hold power in the Ottoman Empire. In the gilded crucible of the 16th century, one empire stood unchallenged, its power stretching from the gates of Vienna to the sands of Yemen. This was the Ottoman Empire, and at its formidable heart sat Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. His reign, spanning from 1520 to 1566, marked an unparalleled golden age, a zenith of military conquest, architectural marvel, and artistic brilliance. Istanbul, his imperial capital, pulsed with the energy of a global superpower, its magnificent mosques and bustling bazaars testament to an era of prosperity. Armies of janissaries, the elite infantry, struck fear across continents, expanding an empire that was the envy and terror of Europe. It was into this world of absolute power and rigid tradition, at the very pinnacle of its strength, that a young girl from a distant land would soon be thrust, forever altering its course. Far from the opulent courts of Istanbul, nestled within the verdant plains of Ruthenia, modern-day Ukraine, a quiet life unfolded. Here, a young girl named Alexandra Lisowska lived, her days filled with the simple rhythms of village life, the laughter of family, and the innocent dreams of youth. But the tranquility of her world was fragile, constantly threatened by the shadow of conflict that haunted the empire's fringes. In the early 1520s, a thunderous storm descended. Crimean Tatar slave raids, brutal and swift, tore through the region. One fateful day, Alexandra's ordinary existence shattered into a million pieces. The sudden terror of invading horsemen, the screams, the smoke, her peaceful home became a nightmare, and she, along with countless others, was violently seized, her freedom extinguished in an instant. Stripped of her home, her family, and her very identity, Alexandra was now just one of thousands, a captive caught in the merciless currents of the Ottoman slave trade. Her new reality was a brutal, arduous march across vast, unforgiving landscapes, the infamous slave routes stretching towards the Black Sea ports and beyond. Days bled into weeks, marked by searing sun and biting cold, by hunger and thirst, by the constant clinking of chains and the quiet despair of her fellow captives. Each step carried her further from everything familiar, towards an unknown destiny in a foreign land. Her Christian name, Alexandra, a remnant of her past, began to fade, replaced by a growing anonymity that swallowed the individual and forged them into a commodity. After weeks, perhaps months, of unimaginable suffering, a glimmer appeared on the horizon. The journey culminated at the shimmering shores of the Bosphorus, where Istanbul, the formidable capital of the Ottoman Empire, rose like a mirage. For Alexandra, this city was a breathtaking, yet terrifying spectacle. Its towering minarets pierced the sky, its domes reflected the sun, and its bustling harbors teemed with vessels from every corner of the known world. The sheer scale and opulence were overwhelming, a stark, almost cruel contrast to the bleakness of her captivity. She was no longer just an anonymous captive. She was an object to be sold in this magnificent, indifferent metropolis, her fate hanging precariously in its labyrinthine streets and grand marketplaces. Within Istanbul's vibrant, yet brutal, slave markets, Alexandra's value was assessed. Here, human lives were bartered and sold like any other commodity. Buyers, often agents for the wealthy elite or the imperial palace, scrutinized every feature, every movement. It was a dehumanizing ordeal, where a young woman's beauty, health, and potential intelligence dictated her destiny. Amidst the clamor of voices and the exchange of coin, Alexandra stood vulnerable, her future hanging by the thread of a glance, a whispered word. It was in this crucible of commerce and fate that she was likely chosen, singled out from the throngs of other captives, not for a household or a lesser noble, but for the ultimate destination, the imperial harem of Topkapi Palace, a gilded cage promising both terror and unparalleled opportunity. Passing through the formidable gates of Topkapi Palace was akin to entering another world, a realm veiled in secrecy and guarded by stone and eunuchs. Alexander's journey from a Ruthenian village to the heart of the Ottoman Empire was complete. But this was not freedom. It was an ascension into a labyrinthine gilded cage, the imperial harem. Here, the very air was thick with intrigue, hierarchy, and the unspoken power dynamics that governed hundreds of women. Upon entry, her past was systematically erased. Her Christian name, Alexandra, was stripped away, a final severance from her old life. In its place, she was given a new identity, a new name that would echo through history. Hürrem, meaning the cheerful one or the laughing one. The irony was profound, for within these walls, cheerfulness was a mask, and survival a constant, demanding art. Within the harem's opulent confines, Hürrem found herself immersed in a world of rigid order and unspoken rules, a complex microcosm of the empire itself. Every aspect of daily life was meticulously structured, overseen by an army of vigilant black eunuchs, and, above all, by the formidable Valide Sultan, the Sultan's mother, the most powerful woman in the empire. Her word was law, her gaze omnipresent. Concubines were ranked by strict hierarchy, their status defined by their potential to bear the Sultan's children and earn his favor. The golden cage was beautiful, adorned with silks and jewels, but it was also a place of intense competition, relentless surveillance, and the constant threat of banishment or worse. Survival here demanded intelligence, adaptability, and an acute understanding of the harem's intricate power plays. For a woman within the harem, beauty alone was insufficient. To truly thrive, to even catch the eye of the Sultan, required far more. Hürrem, like all harem residents, underwent an intensive and rigorous education designed to cultivate not just physical grace, but also sharp intellect and refined cultural skills. She learned Ottoman Turkish, Persian, and Arabic, immersed herself in poetry, music, and dance. Lessons in etiquette, calligraphy, and the art of conversation were paramount. This was no mere pastime. It was a strategic investment. Every lesson, every skill acquired, was a tool in the intricate game of the harem, a means to distinguish oneself, to gain favor, and to ascend the daunting hierarchy. Hürrem, ever observant and intelligent, would absorb these teachings, understanding their profound potential. Even within the gilded cage of the imperial harem, a place designed to suppress individuality and cultivate obedience, one young woman defied the oppressive atmosphere. Roxolana, now known by her Ottoman name, Hürrem, possessed an indomitable spirit that shimmered brighter than any silk or jewel. Her very name, Hürrem, meaning the cheerful one or the laughing one, was no mere appellation. It was a testament to a captivating vivacity and an unyielding inner strength. She wasn't simply beautiful. She was alive, a whirlwind of sharp wit, infectious laughter, and a profound intellect that set her apart from the hundreds of other hopeful concubines. In a world where women were often silent ornaments, Hürrem's voice, her eyes, her entire being radiated a powerful, almost defiant light, hinting at the extraordinary path she was destined to carve. For every concubine, the ultimate, most coveted prize was the Sultan's attention, a single glance, a fleeting moment that could change a life forever. In the grand processions and elaborate ceremonies that defined court life, hundreds of hopeful women vied for Suleiman, the Magnificent's notice. It was amidst this spectacle, perhaps during a royal feast or a stately procession through the Topkapi Palace grounds, that Hürrem's vibrant spirit finally pierced through the throng. Her energy, her unique presence, was undeniable. As Suleiman, majestic and imposing, passed by, his gaze, usually reserved and assessing, lingered. A flicker of intrigue in his eyes met her own bold, yet respectful, stare. This wasn't merely a physical attraction. It was the recognition of a kindred spirit, a spark ignited in that pivotal instant, destined to reshape not only their lives but the very fabric of an empire. The initial spark had been struck, but it was Hürrem's mind, not just her captivating beauty, that truly forged an unbreakable bond with Suleiman. She was not merely a beautiful face. She was an intellectual equal. During their private audiences, where others might have offered only demure silence or empty flattery, Hürrem engaged Suleiman in stimulating conversations about politics, poetry, philosophy, and current affairs. Her wit was legendary, her insights sharp, and her ability to challenge his thinking in a respectful, yet compelling, manner was utterly unique. She learned multiple languages, devoured books, and became a trusted confidant. Hürrem transcended the role of concubine, evolving into Suleiman's most cherished companion, a partnership of minds that deepened with every passing day, forging a connection far more profound than any physical dalliance. As Suleiman's affection for Hürrem deepened, her ascent within the harem was swift and undeniable. She quickly eclipsed all other concubines, including Mahidevran, the mother of Suleiman's eldest and most popular son, Prince Mustafa. The Sultan's favor manifested in lavish gifts, frequent summons to his chambers, and unprecedented influence. Hürrem's quarters grew more opulent, her servants more numerous, and her access to the Sultan's ear unparalleled. This elevation, however, was a double-edged sword. While it brought immense privilege and power, it also ignited a fervent, often brutal, rivalry within the closed world of the harem. Mahidevran, once the undisputed favorite, watched her position erode, her status and her son's future now threatened by this vibrant, ambitious newcomer. The gilded walls of Topkapi Palace would soon bear witness to a fierce battle for supremacy. Centuries of Ottoman tradition dictated a rigid protocol within the harem. A concubine was permitted to bear only one son to the Sultan. After the birth of her first male heir, she would cease to share the Sultan's bed, dedicating herself to raising her prince and preparing him for the weighty responsibilities of governance. This rule was designed to prevent any single woman from accumulating too much power and influence. But Hürrem, with Suleiman's unwavering devotion, shattered this sacred custom. She bore not one, but multiple sons to the Sultan, Mehmet, Abdullah, Salim, Bezid, and Sahanger, an unprecedented defiance of imperial precedent. This remarkable deviation was a clear, undeniable signal of Hürrem's extraordinary and growing influence, a testament to a bond that transcended mere tradition and challenged the very foundations of the imperial harem structure. Hürrem's unprecedented rise and the birth of her multiple sons plunged the already tense harem into open warfare. The intense rivalry between her and Mahidevran, the mother of the popular and charismatic heir apparent, Prince Mustafa, escalated dramatically. Mahadevran, who had once held the esteemed title of Bakadan or chief consort, watched her world crumble. Hürrem's continued intimacy with Suleiman, her expanding family, and her sheer audacity directly threatened Mahadevran's status and, more gravely, her son Mustafa's future claim to the throne. The animosity simmered and occasionally boiled over, culminating in public confrontations and bitter exchanges that sent shockwaves through the imperial household. Mahadevran's position became increasingly precarious, overshadowed by Hürrem's relentless ascent, creating a chasm of hatred that would ultimately have tragic consequences for all involved. Then, in an act that defied centuries of entrenched Ottoman tradition, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent performed the unthinkable. In 1533 or 1534, he legally married Hürrem. For generations, Ottoman sultans had not taken legal wives, instead relying on concubines to bear their heirs, thereby avoiding the political complications of dynastic marriages. By elevating Hürrem from a slave concubine to his official wife and empress, Suleiman not only shattered imperial protocol, but also sent shockwaves throughout the entire empire. This wasn't merely a romantic gesture. It was a radical political statement, granting Hürrem an unprecedented level of legitimacy and power. The world watched as a captured Ruthenian girl, once destined for obscurity, was now formally recognized as the legal consort of the most powerful man on earth, irrevocably changing her destiny and the course of Ottoman history. Hürrem's marriage to Suleiman was more than just a personal triumph. It was a constitutional revolution. Her new status as a legal wife, specifically designated as Hasiki Sultan, chief consort, instantly elevated her above every other woman in the imperial harem and the broader court. Before this, the Sultan's mother, the Valide Sultan, was the most powerful woman. Now, Hürrem held a unique, legally sanctioned position of immense influence, a precedent unheard of for centuries. She was no longer a concubine whose power was conditional on the Sultan's favor. She was his official partner, with rights and privileges that ensured her children's legitimacy and secured her own political standing. This monumental shift in imperial protocol sent tremors through the political establishment, forcing the Ottoman elite to reckon with a new, formidable power player at the heart of the empire. Hürrem's ascent wasn't just about influencing Suleiman. It was about establishing a physical, undeniable presence at the very heart of imperial power. In a radical departure from centuries of Ottoman tradition, Hürrem did not move to the old palace, the traditional residence for concubines whose sons had come of age. Instead, she remained steadfastly at Suleiman's side within the opulent confines of Topkapi Palace. As her influence solidified, she eventually moved into the former quarters of the Valide Sultan, the Sultan Mother, a move that sent shockwaves through the court. This was no temporary arrangement. It was a powerful statement, signaling her permanent and unyielding presence at the center of the empire's political and social life. From these hallowed halls, Hürrem would project her authority, not merely as a consort, but as a formidable political player. Her physical proximity to Suleiman was merely a reflection of their profound intellectual and emotional bond. Hürrem wasn't just his lover or the mother of his children. She became his closest confidant, his most trusted advisor. The Sultan, known for his wisdom and strategic mind, found an equal in Hürrem. Their evenings were not merely filled with affection, but with deep, engaging discussions on matters of state, from military campaigns and foreign policy to internal affairs and court intrigues. Her sharp intellect and keen political instincts meant her opinions carried significant weight, allowing her to subtly, yet effectively, influence imperial policy and decision-making. She had the ear of the most powerful man in the world, and she used it with unmatched discretion and impact. Yet, even with Hürrem's growing influence, Suleiman already had a most formidable advisor and companion, Grand Vizier Ibrahim Pasha, a childhood friend and trusted confidant. Ibrahim had risen from humble origins to wield power, second only to the Sultan himself. He commanded the army, managed the treasury, and conducted foreign policy, a towering figure whose word held immense sway throughout the empire. His intelligence, military prowess, and unwavering loyalty had earned him Suleiman's absolute trust. However, as Hürrem carved out her own unique position at court, an inevitable rivalry began to brew. Two powerful figures, each indispensable to the Sultan, operating in close proximity, created an undercurrent of tension, a shadow of conflict that would soon engulf the imperial court. The simmering tension erupted in 1536 with a shocking event that sent tremors throughout the Ottoman Empire. Grand Vizier Ibrahim Pasha was executed on Suleiman's direct orders. His body was found strangled in Topkapi Palace, his vast wealth confiscated by the state. The precise motives behind Suleiman's decision remain a subject of fervent historical debate, complex and multifaceted. Some point to Ibrahim's burgeoning arrogance and accumulation of titles, others to a perceived betrayal. However, many historians attribute Hürrem's subtle yet potent manipulation and strategic influence as a key factor in his precipitous downfall. She understood the intricacies of court politics and saw Ibrahim as an insurmountable barrier to her own and her son's ultimate power. His removal cleared a path, irrevocably altering the balance of power within the imperial family. With Ibrahim Pasha removed, Hürrem's strategic focus shifted to securing the future for her own sons. This meant confronting the most formidable obstacle, Prince Mustafa, the eldest son of Suleiman and his first consort, Mahidevran. Mustafa was a highly popular and capable heir, adored by the Janissaries and the populace, a prince of immense promise. His widespread support presented an undeniable threat to Hürrem's son's succession. The accusation, fiercely debated by historians, is that Hürrem meticulously manipulated Suleiman, feeding his fears and suspicions, weaving a narrative that suggested Mustafa was plotting rebellion against his father. In 1553, at the age of 38, Prince Mustafa was tragically executed by Suleiman's command, a devastating blow that shocked the empire and haunted Suleiman for the rest of his days. A beloved prince gone, in a ruthless play for ultimate power. The execution of Prince Mustafa was a brutal testament to the cutthroat nature of Ottoman succession. With her greatest rivals, Ibrahim and Mustafa, eliminated, Hürrem now poured all her formidable energy into securing the throne for her own progeny. The path was far from clear. Her surviving sons, Selim, Bezid, and Sehangir, were now embroiled in their own bitter rivalries, a brutal game of thrones where only the strongest and most strategically supported would survive. Hürrem maneuvered tirelessly, cultivating alliances, influencing appointments, and deploying her vast network to bolster her chosen heirs. She understood that a mother's greatest legacy in the Ottoman Empire was to see her son ascend the imperial throne, ensuring her lineage and her power continued to reign supreme. Hürrem Sultan's unprecedented journey from slave girl to legal wife and political powerhouse fundamentally reshaped the Ottoman imperial structure. Her influence, her direct engagement in state affairs, and her marriage to Suleiman, a union unheard of for a sultan's consort in centuries, laid the groundwork for an entirely new epoch. Historians would later refer to this period, lasting for over a century, as the Sultanate of Women. Hürrem broke the mold, demonstrating that an imperial woman could not only survive the brutal world of the harem, but could actively shape the empire's destiny. She set a powerful precedent, inspiring future generations of influential female figures, like Nurbanu Sultan and Safi Sultan, to wield immense power from behind the palace walls, forever changing the role of women within the Ottoman Empire. Beyond the political intrigues and the ruthless pursuit of power, Hürrem Sultan harbored a deeply compassionate side, manifesting in an extraordinary commitment to philanthropy. She was not merely a political force. She was a prolific builder, commissioning numerous public works that greatly benefited the Ottoman populace. Her charitable foundations, known as WACs, were extensive. Across Istanbul and beyond, she funded the construction of majestic mosques, vital schools, state-of-the-art hospitals, and essential public baths. Perhaps most notably, she established soup kitchens that fed thousands of the poor and destitute. These enduring structures, still standing today, speak volumes of Hürrem's legacy as a benevolent leader, demonstrating her deep, lasting commitment to the welfare and prosperity of the empire's diverse people. She left behind not just a political footprint, but a tangible testament to her humanity. Hürrem Sultan's extraordinary influence was not confined to the gilded walls of the Topkapi Palace. Her sharp intellect and strategic acumen propelled her onto the international stage, making her a formidable figure in Ottoman diplomacy. She initiated and maintained a sophisticated correspondence with foreign dignitaries, most notably with Sigismund II Augustus, the King of Poland. These were not mere pleasantries. Hürrem engaged in intricate political exchanges, discussing trade agreements, peace treaties, and the well-being of Ruthenian captives, often acting as a bridge between the Ottoman court and European powers. Her elegant, persuasive letters, written in impeccable Polish, cemented her reputation not just as the Sultan's beloved consort, but as a global stateswoman whose insights were sought and valued, further solidifying her unprecedented position in an empire traditionally dominated by men. Within the heart of the Ottoman Empire, Hürrem became the undisputed power behind the throne. Her sway over Sultan Suleiman was not born of manipulation, but from a profound bond of love, mutual respect, and an unparalleled intellectual partnership. Suleiman trusted her implicitly, valuing her keen political instincts and sharp counsel above all others. She was his most intimate confidant, a silent partner in governance. Through subtle suggestions, insightful discussions, and a deep understanding of his vision, Hürrem gently guided the Sultan through critical junctures of his reign. Her influence touched every aspect of statecraft, from military strategies to appointments, ensuring her beloved Suleiman's decisions were both judicious and beneficial, shaping the empire's destiny through their shared vision. Beyond her diplomatic triumphs and political influence, Hürrem's ultimate, most profound legacy was etched into the very fabric of the Ottoman dynasty itself. As the mother of 5 sons, her most significant achievement lay in securing the lineage of her beloved Suleiman. After the tragic demise of other potential heirs, her son Selim II, previously considered less likely to ascend, became the designated successor. Hürrem's meticulous nurturing, political maneuvering, and fierce protection of her children ensured that her bloodline would continue to rule the mighty Ottoman Empire for generations. To witness Selim ascend the throne, even if she did not live to see his full reign, was the ultimate triumph for Hürrem, solidifying her place as the mother of sultans and forever shaping the future of the imperial house. After decades of unprecedented power, unwavering influence, and a life lived at the very pinnacle of the world's most powerful empire, Hürrem Sultan's remarkable journey began its inevitable descent. By 1558, the indomitable spirit that had propelled a slave girl to empress started to wane under the grip of an unspecified illness. The vibrant woman who had captivated Suleiman and reshaped an empire found herself battling a foe no amount of political acumen could defeat. Her final years were marked by a quiet dignity, a slowing of her fervent pace as her health deteriorated. On April 15th, 1558, the legendary Hürrem Sultan, the architect of her own destiny, drew her last breath, leaving behind a void that no other woman could ever fill, and an empire forever changed by her presence. The death of Hürrem Sultan cast an unimaginable pall over the Ottoman Empire, but nowhere was the grief more profound than in the heart of Suleiman the Magnificent. Their bond, forged over 40 years, was unlike any other in Ottoman history. The Sultan, a man accustomed to unwavering control and stoic leadership, was utterly devastated. Chroniclers describe his profound sorrow, a public display of raw emotion rarely seen from an Ottoman ruler. He withdrew, his world suddenly diminished, the light of his life extinguished. Hürrem was not merely his consort. She was his confidant, his partner, his intellectual equal. Her absence left an irreplaceable void, a testament to a love so deep it defied imperial convention and reshaped the very concept of power and affection within the Ottoman court. Even in death, Hürrem Sultan continued to cast an immense shadow, inspiring a torrent of narratives that blurred the lines between history and legend. The Western world, captivated and often fearful of her power, christened her Roxolana, a name derived from her Ruthenian origins. This moniker became synonymous with both awe and dread. Was she Roxolana, the witch, a cunning enchantress who used dark arts to control the mighty sultan? Or was she Roxolana, the brilliant architect, the charitable patron, the astute diplomat, whose vision transformed Istanbul? The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. Her story became a canvas for both admiration and controversy. Her legacy refracted through the lens of those who sought to understand, or simply demonize, the most powerful woman of her era, perpetuating a complex and often mythical figure. Hürrem Sultan's journey, from a captured slave girl plucked from the steppes of Ruthenia to the most powerful woman in the Ottoman Empire, remains one of history's most compelling tales of ambition, intellect, and sheer resilience. Her legacy transcended personal triumph. It fundamentally reshaped the role of women within the imperial court, setting a precedent for the sultanate of women that would follow. She was not just a consort. She was a sovereign in her own right, her fingerprints on architecture, charity, and foreign policy. Hürrem's lasting impact influenced the direction of the dynasty for centuries, proving that true power can emerge from the most unexpected places. Her story reminds us that even within the most rigid hierarchies, a single individual, armed with intelligence and an unyielding will, can forever alter the course of an empire and inspire generations. Our journey through the life of Hürrem Sultan reveals a truth far more profound than any legend. She was not merely a survivor in the glittering, yet perilous, world of the Ottoman Harem. She was a force of nature who defied every expectation. From the abject status of a slave girl, she rose to become the legal wife of the most powerful monarch of her age, shattering centuries of tradition and establishing a new paradigm for female influence within the imperial court. Her monumental achievement lies not just in her ascent, but in her enduring impact, reshaping the very structure of the Ottoman Empire and forever altering the role of women within its highest echelons. Hürrem's story challenges our most fundamental understanding of power, gender, and destiny. She proved that even within the most rigid, patriarchal systems, an unyielding will, coupled with exceptional intellect and strategic acumen, can carve an unprecedented path. Her legacy resonates through the centuries, a testament to the profound impact one individual can have on the course of history. Hürrem Sultan, the slave who became Empress, reminds us that true power emanates not just from birthright, but from an indomitable spirit, forever inspiring generations to defy expectations and forge their own extraordinary destinies.